Hi everyone, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Today, we're going to explore one of the most touching stories of all, the journey of Dae and Huyen, a tale of love, forgiveness, and rebirth. From the moment they met again after years apart, to the night when Dee finally named his little miracle, this story will remind you what it truly means to come home to love. If you enjoy heartfelt stories like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next chapter of their journey. After years of storms and heartbreak, when life finally appeared calm, unexpected news arrived. Huyen was pregnant. But was it real? Or just another fragile hope that Dae was desperate to believe in? He had been through pain, betrayal, and silence that tore the heart apart. So when Huyen softly said, "Dae, I think we're having a baby," the world stopped. For the first time in a long while, he didn't know whether to cry or to smile. Yet something deep inside whispered, maybe this time it's true. That morning, the sun rose gently through the mist. A soft breeze drifted in through the window, brushing against Huyen's hair. In the small wooden house, the sound of water boiling mingled with the earthy aroma of steamed rice. Dee stood by the door, quietly watching Huyen fold tiny clothes for Maya, the little girl who had brought light back into his world. Her movements were tender, almost sacred, as if she feared the fabric might crumble under her touch. Dae stepped closer and said softly, "Huyen, let's go to the hospital together today." She froze, her hands still midair. Her eyes widened slightly. "Is something wrong?" Dae didn't answer right away. He just reached for her hand. Rough, warm, familiar. "I just want to make sure our little one is okay. I don't want you to go alone. Not this time." A smile flickered on her lips. "You make me nervous, you know that? You're too serious so early in the morning." But there was something else in her eyes. Something fragile, hopeful, and he could feel it. The silent prayer behind that gentle smile. That maybe this time there would be no lies. That Maya really would have a little brother. Suddenly, Maya ran out from the kitchen, holding a piece of cake almost bigger than her hand. "Uncle Dee, Mom made cake. Look." Her laughter filled the small house like sunlight. Dee chuckled, ruffled her hair, and said, "When your baby brother comes, you'll have to teach him how to eat cake just like you, okay?" Maya's eyes curved into crescents. "Yes, and I'll sing to him when he cries." Huyen looked at them, her heart quietly melting. Breakfast was full of laughter and little crumbs of joy. Outside, the morning light stretched across the rice fields, painting everything gold. Huyen put on her light jacket, lifted Maya onto the motorbike, and smiled. "Come on, hop on. Let's go." Dae drove carefully, the wind brushing their faces, carrying the scent of fresh earth and green fields. Maya clung to her mother's waist, humming softly. Dee glanced at them through the mirror. The woman he once lost, the child he now loved as his own. Every glance was a whisper, every silence a prayer. He was terrified that this fragile piece might shatter again. When they reached the school gate, Maya hugged her mother tightly. "Bye, Mom. Bye, Uncle Dee." Dee smiled and waved. "Be a good princess. We'll pick you up later." She nodded and ran toward the playground, her little backpack bouncing with each step. Huyen's eyes followed her until she disappeared behind the school doors. For a moment, silence wrapped around them. They looked at each other, and in that glance was everything unspoken: fear, forgiveness, and faith. "Come on," Dee murmured. "I feel like everything's going to be all right." Huyen nodded, pressing her lips together, a faint smile forming. She climbed back on the motorcycle, her hand resting gently on her belly. The engine started, 3 hearts moving toward the same destination. Behind them, sunlight spilled over the fields like liquid gold. It was an ordinary morning, but for them, it was the morning faith began again. The hospital stood at the end of a dusty road, painted pale yellow by the sun. The town loudspeaker crackled in the distance, the kind of sound that belonged only to small towns. Dee parked the bike and turned to Huyen. "Come on, I already registered." She nodded silently. Inside, the waiting room smelled faintly of antiseptic and baby powder. Women sat side by side, their hands gently cradling small, growing bellies. Some men waited too, their faces a mix of excitement and fear. Huyen sat quietly beside Dee, her hand resting on her lap. She had never imagined she'd be there again, with him, after everything. Dee reached out and covered her hand with his. "Don't worry," he said softly. "I'm here." She turned to him, smiled faintly. "I'm not scared. It just feels strange. Last time, I came alone. This time is different," he whispered. "You're not alone anymore." Her name was called. Huyen stood up, took a deep breath, and Dee instinctively reached for her arm. Steady, gentle, protective. The doctor smiled kindly. "You're about 8 weeks along. The heartbeat is strong. Both mother and baby are healthy." It was a simple statement, but for Huyen, it was as if the whole world had just opened its arms. Her eyes glistened. She looked at Day, and in that moment, everything, all the mistrust, all the pain, dissolved. Day's gaze was fixed on the monitor, on that tiny flicker of life beating steadily inside her. A sound so fragile, yet powerful enough to bring a man to his knees. As they stepped out into the bright sunlight, he whispered, almost to himself, "I heard it, Huyen. Our baby's heartbeat. It's real." She smiled through her tears. "Now you believe me?" Dee's voice trembled. "I never stopped believing in you. I was just scared of losing everything again." She nodded, and under the hospital roof, while the voices of other mothers drifted through the air, Dee gently wiped the tears from her face. "From today on," he said, "I'm going to believe, not because the doctor said so, but because I see it in your eyes. Those eyes that cried and still chose to love again." Huyen leaned in, resting her head on his shoulder. "So, shall we start over?" "Yes," he said firmly. "This time, for real." Outside, the noon light shimmered across the market road. Day didn't take the way home. Instead, he turned toward a small row of shops near the market. Huyen frowned. "You missed the turn?" Day smiled. "No, I just want to stop somewhere first." He parked the bike in front of a small store with a wooden sign, "Baby Clothes." The breeze swayed the tiny garments hanging outside. Soft sweaters, little hats, shoes no bigger than his palm. Everything inside smelled of new fabric and sunlight. He took Huyen's hand and led her in. The small bell above the door chimed softly, echoing through the cozy room. Huyen paused, mesmerized by a tiny cream-colored sweater with a small embroidered flower. "It's so cute," she whispered, "but so expensive. We still have so many things to pay for." Day turned to her, his expression calm yet full of conviction. "I know, but I'll try, Huyen. I can't promise riches, but I'll make sure our child never lacks love." Her eyes softened. She looked down, her voice trembling slightly. "You always talk like we're in a movie." He chuckled. "Maybe we are, only this time. I want to write the happy ending myself." They wandered slowly through the rows of tiny clothes, each piece holding a quiet dream of the life they hoped for. When they reached the last shelf, Dee stopped. He pulled some money from his pocket and pointed at that same yellow sweater. "This one, I want to buy it." Huyen tried to stop him. "Day, you don't have to." But he had already paid. He placed the little sweater in her hands and smiled. "Keep it. When our baby wears it, I want him to know. Everything started here, with a promise that won't ever fade." Huyen pressed the fabric to her chest. Tears slid down silently, not of sadness, but of something far more powerful, hope. Outside, the sunlight turned golden. The wind swayed the tiny garments in the window, as if the world itself was blessing their new beginning. The road home glowed beneath the late afternoon sun, the world painted in shades of honey and soft amber. Huyen sat behind Day, her head resting gently on his shoulder, hands folded over the small yellow sweater in her lap. The hum of the engine mingled with the whisper of wind through the fields, and for the first time in a long while, both their hearts were still. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Every heartbeat said enough. By the time they arrived home, dusk had begun to settle, casting a faint violet hue over the rooftops. Inside the small house, the lamp on the wooden table glowed softly, its flickering flame painting gentle shadows on the walls. Dinner was ready: a bowl of rice, warm soup with ginger, and stewed fish that filled the room with the scent of home. Huyen sat beside Maya, who was happily singing to herself while playing with her spoon. "Eat slowly, sweetheart," she said with a smile. "It's still hot." Maya nodded, obedient as always, her small fingers carefully holding a piece of fish before taking a bite. Dee sat across from them, silent at first, his gaze drifting between the two people who made his world feel whole again. For a long moment, the only sounds were clinking bowls and the soft hum of the night. Then, gently, he put down his chopsticks and spoke. "Huyen," he said, "I think we should name the baby." Her hand froze mid-air. She looked up, surprised, and then smiled softly. "Isn't it a little early?" He shook his head. "It's never too early. A name is a blessing, something to remind our child that they were born from love, from hope, not from fear." Huyen's lips parted as if to reply, but no words came out. Instead, she quietly set down her bowl and looked at him, eyes shimmering in the lamp's light. "And have you thought of one?" Day smiled faintly, his gaze drifting toward Maya, who was now stacking grains of rice into tiny towers on her plate. "If it's a boy," he said slowly, "I want to name him Anpu. It means peace and blessing. And if it's a girl, I'd like to call her Min Ngoc, because she'll be like a precious jewel that heaven has given us." Huyen lowered her eyes. Her voice trembled slightly. "Every name you choose has such a beautiful meaning." Before she could say more, Maya lifted her head and declared proudly, "I like Ngoc, like the names in Mom's stories." Day and Huyen both laughed, a quiet, genuine laughter that filled the room. "Then it's settled," Day teased. "Maya has officially voted for Min Ngoc." Huyen smiled at him, and for a moment, the world outside disappeared. No pain, no doubt, only peace. She placed her hand gently on her belly and whispered, "Did you hear that, little one? We're all calling you already." Dee sat still, watching her in silence. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "I thought I'd lost everything. But seeing this, I know now that I have everything I'll ever need." A gentle wind brushed through the open window, making the lamp flame dance and flicker. Crickets chirped outside. Maya giggled. The moment felt timeless, fragile, but full of life. "Eat, love," Huyen said softly. "Your food's getting cold." Day nodded, his lips curling into a smile as he reached for more rice. For the first time in years, his eyes carried not just love, but a quiet certainty that whatever the future held, they would face it together. Later that night, when the house had gone still, Huyen stood by the window, gazing out at the moon. Its light spilled across the yard, silver and soft. Behind her, Dee was cleaning the dishes, something he never used to do. But tonight felt different. Everything did. He dried his hands, came over, and wrapped his arms around her. Neither said a word. They just stood there, breathing in sync, listening to the faint rustle of the trees and Maya's quiet breathing from the other room. Finally, Dee whispered, "Huyen, thank you." She turned in his arms, confused. "For what?" "For not giving up on me, for coming back." Her smile was gentle. "I didn't come back because of the past, Dee. I came back because of what I still believe in." "And what's that?" he asked softly. She reached up, touching his chest, where his heartbeat thumped steady. "In you." He closed his eyes for a moment, letting her words sink in. Words that healed places he thought would never heal again. Outside, the wind shifted. A faint drizzle began to fall, tapping lightly against the roof. He looked down at her and murmured, "Then let's promise something. No more running. No more hiding. Whatever happens, we face it. Together." Huyen nodded, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "I promise." They stayed like that, holding each other while the night deepened. The oil lamp burned low, its last flame glowing faintly before fading out. The next morning, sunlight streamed in once more. Maya ran around the room, clutching the tiny yellow sweater Dee had bought. "Mom, look, I want to show the baby his clothes." Huyen laughed, scooping her up. "Not yet, sweetie. The baby still needs time to grow." Dee appeared from the kitchen with a tray of breakfast: warm bread, boiled eggs, and tea. He placed it down, smiling shyly. "Breakfast for my two princesses, and one little miracle on the way." Huyen shook her head, laughing softly. "You're getting cheesy. You know that?" "Maybe," he said. "But it's true." They sat together by the window, the morning light spilling over the table, the air filled with the smell of fresh tea and the laughter of a child. Huyen looked at him, really looked at him, and realized that somehow, after everything, they'd found their way back. Faith had returned, not the loud, desperate kind, but the quiet faith that grows from the smallest gestures: a shared meal, a touch, a name whispered under the breath. Outside, the village woke slowly. Roosters crowed, and distant voices called out from the fields. Life went on. But inside that little house, something sacred had begun. A new story, written not in pain, but in love that had finally learned how to stay. Dee reached out, took her hand gently, and said, "You know, I think our baby's going to change everything." Huyen smiled. "He already has." They both turned toward the sunlight, their fingers intertwined, the future stretching wide open before them. a road bathed in golden light, leading not just to another day, but to a life rebuilt from faith, forgiveness, and love. That day, as the small house filled with laughter, the world outside seemed softer, as if the heavens themselves whispered, "This time, it's real." After years apart,
Tử La,
Day and
một
Huyen
bà
meet
mẹ đơn
again,
thân với quá khứ đầy
both
đau khổ,
carrying the
trở về
scars
lấp
of
lại
old
ký ức cùng
mistakes
con mình và bất
and the
ngờ
fragile
phát hiện
hope of
nơi đây đã
starting
được
anew.
Alex, một người
Their
đàn ông tốt
reunion
bụng
is
và tài
quiet
năng,
yet
âm
deeply
thầm tu
emotional,
sửa, trong khi
marked by
Tử La
forgiveness
chăm chỉ làm việc để
and the
xứng đáng với tấm lòng
rediscovery of
của anh,
love.
thì chị gái của
With their
Alex lại
daughter
phản đối,
Maya bringing
cho rằng cô
laughter
không
back
xứng đáng
into
với
their
em trai mình.
lives, Dee
Cùng lúc đó,
finally
Alex
finds
luôn
the
lo lắng
courage to
cho
name
sự
their
an toàn và
unborn
sức khỏe
child,
của Tử La,
Min
thậm
Ngoc,
chí còn nhắc nhở
the
cô
precious
về
light.
việc phải đi bộ quãng đường dài cùng
In
con
the
nhỏ.
warmth of their small
Những lần gặp
home,
gỡ,
they
họ đều
share
ấm áp,
dinner,
nhưng vẫn bị che
promises,
phủ bởi những tình
and
cảm
silent
chưa nói ra
prayers for the
và sự
future.
phản đối từ gia đình.
But beneath the
Ở
peace,
nhà, Alex
an
phải đối mặt với
unspoken
sự cương
question
quyết của chị
lingers.
gái, yêu cầu
Can
anh giữ
love
khoảng
that's
cách,
been broken
nhưng sâu trong
once
lòng,
truly
anh biết
last
mình đang quan
forever?
tâm đến Tử
The
La
story
nhiều hơn
leaves
những
us
gì thừa nhận.
wondering,
Quyết tâm thay đổi
will
cách
this
nhìn của gia đình,
fragile
Alex âm
happiness
thầm
stand the
lên kế hoạch
test
chứng
of
minh giá trị
time,
của Tử La, đồng
or
thời
will
lặng lẽ theo
fate
dõi
have
và bảo
one
vệ cô
more
từ xa.
twist in store for them?